My name is Stephen Wong. I live in Hong Kong, and I've been a lifelong collector and passionate historian of baseball history. I love the history of the game. When I collect, there are really no boundaries. I'm what they call a universal collector. I collect game-worn uniforms and game-used bats, vintage advertising pieces, of course baseball cards still, and all sorts of memorabilia and ephemera that commemorate baseball history. The history of this building is incredible because it was actually built on the grounds of Washington, D.C.'s very first baseball field, which was called Polo Grounds. The idea behind this exhibition is that the Postal Museum has the most extraordinary collection of original artwork that was used to make the stamps of very famous baseball players, ballparks, as well as events that commemorate baseball history. And the idea was to give life to the stamps and the artwork by surrounding them with the actual uniforms and the bats, as well as memorabilia. You see in the middle here, this is a stamp of Lou Gehrig, and the whole notion was to give life to that stamp by showing Gehrig's uniform that he wore, and obviously the bat from 1934. And then down left is a World Series program that was given out at Yankee Stadium during the 1939 World Series, with a very famous photo of Gehrig on the cover. We probably have two of the most iconic pieces in the exhibition. First here we have Ty Cobb's game-used bat he used from the 1910 to 1915 season. Bats are easily dated by the style of the center brand, as well as the markings on the bat. You can actually date bats to a certain period. This is the game-used bat of Babe Ruth he used during the 1920 season. In 1920, baseball attendance started to plummet because people felt that the game was crooked. And lo and behold, Babe Ruth resurrected the game and brought people back to the ballpark. And he did it through his home runs. And so this bat is quite significant because not only was it the bat he used as his first year with the New York Yankees, but the fact that he used it to hit a staggering 54 home runs. One of the beautiful things about this exhibition is the diversity and variety of artifacts commemorating baseball history, but also players that were featured on a stamp. One of which, of course, is Joe DiMaggio. And this contract here was Joe DiMaggio's contract for the 1941 season, which is obviously the season that probably captures the essence of him and his timelessness as we know today. In 1941, we all know that Joe DiMaggio hit safely in 56 consecutive games, arguably a record that will probably never be broken. So this is Jackie Robinson's Brooklyn Dodgers road uniform that he wore in the 1948 season, the year after his epic rookie season of 1947. One of the most beautiful and captivating objects in my collection, of course, at the exhibition right now, is this original triptych advertising piece of Piedmont cigarettes. And this piece, to have actually survived, is almost a miracle. This piece was actually wedged in between the wall in a house, a very, very old house in Michigan. And this is one of my favorite pieces in the entire exhibition. This is an original hot dog vending basket that was used at Yankee Stadium during the 1930s and 1940s that housed hot dogs and frankfurters in those steel containers. And the mustard and the relish and the ketchup would be there, and the usher would be walking through the aisles of Yankee Stadium during the era of Joe DiMaggio and Lou Gehrig and Charles Ruffing, and all the great players of the Yankees in the 30s and 40s selling hot dogs, to fans who were attending the ball game at Yankee Stadium. This piece to me is one of the most significant pieces of stadia relics, I think, in the hobby. This home plate was the home plate used at the Polo Grounds on September 29th, 1957, which was the very last game ever played by the New York Giants at the Polo Grounds, at the coveted and beautiful Polo Grounds. I have always felt that it is a tremendous honor and privilege to actually own and preserve these incredible artifacts that commemorate baseball history, our beloved national pastime, ever since literally I was a teenager. And I've always felt a deep passion and almost duty to share these objects with the public. I tried to do that through my books, the 3 books I published with the Smithsonian, but also to do it in even higher way through exhibitions at renowned museums throughout the country, including the Smithsonian National Postal Museum, the Jackie Robinson Museum in New York, and several other museums that I've worked with in the past. Baseball is one of those topics that is so interwoven with the beauty of this country, as well as its history and overall evolution. Gerald Early, who is a very prominent historian, American historian, who has done a lot of work on sociological issues, once said that 2,000 years from now, if you look back on American civilization, what are the 3 things that would embody and represent most American society? And those 3 things would be jazz music, the Constitution, and baseball. And that's a very true, if you think about it. And because baseball has led America as opposed to follow it, Jackie Robinson, for example, breaking the racial barrier on April 15th, 1947 to become the first African American to play in the major leagues, he brought that issue of race relations to the forefront. Jackie Robinson is just one element of the game of baseball that serves as a kaleidoscope and tapestry of American history and the issues associated so much with this country that make this country so great. For me to be able to share these artifacts with the public, to educate them about what they are, but also what they represent and the players they represent, is a beautiful thing and something that I feel very, very deeply passionate about, and hopefully do to the day I die.